Morning, everyone. We've all seen, I think, a pretty sizable uptick in activity in airplanes that have closed, fewer deals falling apart. I think, the narrative has been that things are improving dramatically. And I think that we're really starting to show the influence, the size, and the scope of IADA through these results. Things continue to improve. May is generally better than April. And I think everyone that I've spoken with in the last couple of days, we all anticipate June to even be significantly better than May. And so the trends are all in the right direction. I think unlike in other downturns, whether it was 01 or in 09, we're not seeing this dramatic rise in inventory, right? And so I think that this here, again, is a positive sign.
Paul, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. And yes, in talking with a number of the dealers around the country this past week, everybody talked about 2, 3, 4. I talked to 2 different dealers at 5 planes that they're trying to close right now. So I'm expecting our June numbers to really jump and be really anxious to see the chart next month and see, because it appears as though the recovery is coming back at really high speed.
If the 500 and the 600, are a little bit, they're faster and they're more fuel efficient and the cabin is wider, yes, but a 450 and a 550 is still going to do the mission. It'll also cost a whole lot less money to purchase pre-owned, and there's so many of them, 450s, 550s, even G5s, that I think that will remain resilient for a long time. I'd probably call that a 60-40. It's probably 60% because we had a strong market before the first week of March. The market it wasn't great, but it was good. We had a colossal collapse of a lot of things in 2008. So let's call that 60%. The 40% probably is that this industry came together, but really for 2 reasons. One, I think through the efforts of IADA, but 2, the issue is most of the people that are here on this call have been through 08. So it's not the first time that we had something happen like this, and it's just experience teaching us how to handle it as an industry.
I think the recovery is complex because first, I think you have to have some kind of vaccine, and the good news that we're hearing that it may be before the end of the year. In fact, we have clients that are involved in that technology and those applications, whether it be a cure or the vaccine, and we think that that's going to be key to the recovery. I think clients are fairly bullish about the activity coming back. Before this, a lot of our issues were affected by availability of pilots. We couldn't sell aircraft because we couldn't find pilots in the California area. So that's going to change. When the PSP money runs out in September, there'll be more pilots available. So that becomes easier. I'm sure we're all going to hear that supply doesn't meet demand and supply is increasing. I know that the King Air 350 market, there's a lot of aircraft on the market, and I think in the CJ3s there's 50 as of this morning. So simply put, more supply than demand. But I think the American culture is pretty resilient, and people want to get back to work and want to travel, and we are seeing definitely increased activity in the last 30 days. So we're pretty pleased with where we are right now. Charter activity is probably the quickest barometer of really what's happening, and January and February were the most successful months we've ever had as a company. March, mid-year or mid-month, obviously it started to drop, but I will say what's really nice, the silver lining in June, is that as of last night, our bookings are up to 71% of normal for the entire month of June. So we predict that we may be back to normal for charter activity in June. And what's really, I think, a positive sign is the flight activity in June is first-time users. Never chartered before, want to do it. It's getting better, and we're able to get out and move around. I think with that has brought some, obviously increased charter activity and increased sales activity, although the sales activity has kind of been around the country. I also want to make sure people know and talk to their clients about is the CARES Act. We have at least 3 of the clients are involved in and motivated by changing price point upward to a more expensive aircraft because of the value of the CARES Act and what that brings to them on an after-tax basis. And Daniel Chung was nice enough to send out a memo, and we coordinated with him, and we used that to approach some clients that were on the fence about a price point or even getting into the game, and that did bring those people into the market. So it's a difficult market with declining values, but we're finding if you target people that used to own, that's the segment right now.
How it's affected us is really that everybody had to step back and do some other things that we haven't done in the past. Let's talk about the future. And part of the job that I have is planning for tomorrow and making sure that we're ahead of the curve and making sure all of us get where we want to be. Part of that's going to be the CARES program that's going through right now at the FAA, and it's going to change a lot of things that are going to happen. That's 3 years, 4 years away. There's going to be a lot of change that we're going to have to deal with. Things that have changed in our industry right now is that, we really have more virtual closings, virtual everything. We designed a virtual closing room for our clients a long time ago, and we've taken that to the next level. We're trying to achieve you being able to get your job done easier. All sorts of different things that we have talked about and wanted to have happen are now happening in the industry, and we're able to move it forward much faster than we have in the past.
Hey, Wayne, great to be with IADA and the group today. Thank you for organizing these and keeping us all informed as to what's going on. Really appreciate that. We're seeing a lot of green shoots. That's an expression you hear a lot of right now. Well, we have, I think, an image of our industry is much better than it's been. I mean, that's to start with. It's great to hear things like, Daniel Chung working on new people coming into our business, supporting them, whether they have a tax question or with a broker like Joe or someone else, answering the right questions and getting people to feel comfortable about this industry. We have a great industry. We're seeing a bounce back from a real floor in April on flight operations. We're seeing a nice uptick in flying, especially in the Part 135 world. Very good to see. Transactions, obviously, they've slowed, but I think if you're like me, you're watching people sort of moving to the quality organizations out there, and IADA has been great in identifying and establishing a foundation of quality in our industry in the broker-dealer world. So people are moving that way towards you. I believe you're probably taking share. Your members certainly appear to be, because overall the markets are pretty soft. I'll show you some numbers, but I know your numbers are moving up. That's really good. Financing is still available. It's very affordable. Residual values, a little bit of softness there. We're expecting that, and so is the owner-operator community. So, it's a mixed bag. A lot of things are going right in our industry. We don't have any sort of rush for the exits. The owner-operator community are working closely either inside their companies or with their management companies. We do not see a big increase in inventory, but there is not this, like we had 11 years ago, a credit crisis. We don't have that. We have concerns. Let's hope government is listening. We need some more support, not just our industry, but going forward. Some great new products. The OEMs have invested heavily in the last 5, 7, 10 years, and all of these airplanes are now available to find their homes. We'll talk about inventories. I know about that much better than, let's say, all the experts on this call regarding pricing. But let's talk about inventory. This morning, there's around 2,300 jets listed for sale on JetNet or on Amstat. If you look, they're pretty similar. So 2,300 airplanes. That's essentially stable. It hasn't moved much for 30 days. I mean, if we were 11 years ago, that number would be up by hundreds of airplanes. We're not seeing that. So we're just seeing good, stable, good, strong market numbers. Some softening on pricing, we know that. And there's part of that is just the sharks circling, looking for blood in the water. But the good news is, I think, as an industry, we've seen this, been to this rodeo before, as Clay would probably say. And, we know what we're doing. We're a professional group. Well, it's a biomedical question. It's a vaccine. And the good news is there are many, many, many collaborative efforts going on around the globe. It may happen in the US, it may happen in Germany or somewhere else, but we're going to see a vaccine. We're going to see it, we think, this year. And, what a blessed moment that'll be.
Well, I feel like I'm out of it. I went to a restaurant last night for the first time since March because it just opened here for outdoor dining. But I think where we're going to see the breakthrough that people have confidence to travel, like hop on an airliner, or have confidence to gather in groups, is going to be when we get a therapeutic drug that comes out that people will believe in, that works, clinically proven.
But I think, till you either have a cure or you have a vaccine, consumer confidence for travel and for just general business is going to wane. But I hope that magical switch can be turned sooner than later. And it seems as though there are some good indicators that those are happening. So I'm one that probably sits in the camp of activity is strong and it's going to be strong and it's going to be there. But I'm not sure that normal will be around. I think people are going to feel the economic hangover of this, the doldrums for an extended period. But that being said, I think our industry is extremely well suited to do well. Just in the last few days, I've been able to work exclusively with multiple title companies, with Elliott, Double Eagle, West Star. So it's fun to be able to work with an association with people that you know and trust, and I think that's what IADA is about, is working in a collaborative effort with the best of the best.
Oh, you know what? I couldn't even begin to guess, because you do have the East Coast and West Coast that are significantly different than us out in the middle in the flyover country. We're back. In Oklahoma, we're back working. Everybody's back at work. All the restaurants are open. They've, social distancing, and people are being smart and, keeping away from each other and, washing your hands, doing the things you're supposed to do. So for us, we're up and running and everybody's back in business. For the rest of the country, I think it's going to be a little slower than it is here in the middle.
Well, it depends on where you're sitting in the industry. If you're in flight operations, it's going to come back soonest. In terms of pre-owned sales, it's already looks like it's down around 25 points so far on a trailing 12 months basis. IATA members are not seeing that. That's the good news. You're picking up deals. You're picking up share. That's pre-owned. So flight ops comes back first, but 85% only. Then pre-owned, of course, coming in after that. New aircraft sales, we think that takes longer because of the very long sort of supply chain disruptions that occur when you start furloughing and shuttering factories.